Hey guys, welcome in. You know the deal, it's Lord of Heroes time. Today I'm looking at the game from the perspective of free-to-play. A lot of Lord of Heroes actually seems pay to win to me. A lot of what seem to be the better heroes are completely paywalled. Kind of frustrating to think that you can't get Earth Avillon without throwing your wallet at it. But at the same time, the game is beautiful, the story mode seems great, so I did quite a bit of research in the game and went online and looked at different skills and looked at how each hero is obtained, and I came up with my own list of heroes that I think free-to-play players should target, and are really probably S-tier heroes for free-to-play players. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Just do it!
Number 1.
Now, the first hero I want to talk about is Blue Crom. Now, Blue Crom in himself isn't even the best version of Crom. What little people seem to not know when they first start the game is that there's different variations of these heroes. Much like how in Exo's heroes, there are things called fake cores, which give you boost statistics based off the hero that you're looking at. Different heroes have enhanced versions of themselves, and they're also coming in a different element. So they're doing more elemental damage to a different type, as well as, in a lot of cases, getting much better equipped skills. In some cases, like Crom, both water and fire are really good. But let's talk about water first. When you first start the game, you can actually pick Crom as your contract hero. And if you watch this video here, you'll see exactly that I tell you to do just that. Pick Crom as your first contract hero. Now, all the contracts that you can choose in this game are pretty good. But Crom, he's make or break. One of the best things about Water Crom is just his ability to fill up your allies' hero gauges and their burst gauges and give them AoE buffs and be in himself very powerful because he scales off speed, which is super useful because he's already one of the highest speed heroes in the game, and he gives himself base passives to increase his speed. So one thing that he does is his active 2, it fills your allies' gauge by 45% and grants health regen to all allies for 1 turn. Now, if you max out that skill, it moves that health regen up to 3 turns, so it's not the best choice for max effect. If you're going to max out a skill on Water Crom, it's best to do his base 1 for right now because it gives you 100% burst and a 20% damage up. And you want to be looking at this early into the game as a free-to-play player.
Number 2.
And much like Water Crom, you can get Fire Crom from fulfilling his contract. Now, unlike the predecessor of him, his entire kit isn't based off speed like Water Crom's is. Instead, he's going to be doing a lot of things like boosting his own critical hit chance and the critical damage, as well as slowing the enemy and giving him a chance to ignore defense. So if you want to think of a hero that's going to do a ton of single target damage, think of Fire Crom. Because on his turn sets, he's even giving himself the ability to get another turn if he kills a hero. And if you max out his A2, you can actually attack again with him. So Fire Crom is different than Water Crom in that he isn't just based purely off speed, but he's reacting in a speed-like characteristic as Water Crom might because he's resetting his turn every so often. So overall, it's similar, but Fire Crom is actually slightly better than Water Crom, even though he doesn't do as much of supporting support tasks for the entire team by filling out your team's burst gauge. Instead, he's straight up penetrating and removing defense and doing these amazing one-hit skills based off of the math that I can see into the game. So I think that Fire Crom is also a really good target for free-to-play players to target with their contracts.
Number 3.
Now, the next hero I want to talk about is Earthling. Now, don't get confused with Fire-mailing, which the game gives you for free. Earthling, you can buy from the Chronicles with 3,000 crystals. And she is much improved over the fire version of her. In fact, I wouldn't even say the fire version of her is all that useful at all. In fact, Earthling is one of the best heroes that I can see, and based off of what I've seen, people are raving about her in PvP. If you look at her actual hero comments, people are saying she is a must-have for PvP. And when I looked at her kit, I started to understand why. Now, I don't truly know her base statistics, but just looking at her passives alone, I was impressed. So her base skill 1 gives you an 80% chance to increase the user's speed for 1 turn. Now, if you max that skill out, it gives you a 100% chance to increase the speed. That is insane. On top of that, it gives you a 30% damage buff, and her A2 fills the hero gauge of your allies. An amazing synergy between the two of those. So not only are her skills going to be hitting hard and give you AoE capability, she's increasing her own speed, and she's buffing her allies in the process. So she is like a nuker. She is a straight up nuke machine. Now, if you look at her ultimate skill, she goes from granting health in her fire to giving you a 40% chance to inflict 2 stacks of sap damage. And if you max it, it's a 40% chance. And sap does damage. So think about it this way. You are not only nuking, you're applying a damage over time effect that applies sap, which is really, really strong. So she's going to be a little bit sturdier on top of doing AoE nukes. When compared to her fire, the fire version of Mei Ling is all about focusing around your opponent, right? It's her attack 1 is, it's like reducing their attack power by 50% chance for a turn. So you have to specifically time when you would use that skill in coordination with your skill tree, and what you expect the units on the other side to do, which is pretty hard for PvP. And her A2 is the one that's actually applying the sap to all enemies there. And in fact, when you think about if you were to cancel that out, even if you were to say that being it on her A2 or her ultimate cancel out, the difference between the new changes in passive, which is filling up your team's burst gauge compared to regenerating the health, you don't need your fire Mei Ling to be your support. You need her to be a nuke. And so getting the ability to fill out your gauge and increase your speed compared to reducing one person on the other team's attack and giving your team's health regen, Earth Mei Ling is really good.
Number 4.
Even though you can get Earth Mei Ling for 3,000, I suggest you actually save. And you get the next hero we're going to talk about, which is Water Vanessa. So Water Vanessa costs 6,000 crystals in the Chronicles, which is the most expensive you can pay in crystals for a specific hero. But she is going to far and away be one of your best healers that you can get in the game. And she's the prerequisite for getting Fire Vanessa, who is also one of the best heroes you can get in the game as a free-to-play. In fact, some of the people in my chat were telling me that you absolutely need both to progress all the way through everything the game can throw at you. So it makes a ton of sense that you would do this. But when you look at Vanessa's kit, you would already want to have her on your team because her A2 is not only healing users for a proportion of the damage they deal, but it's giving them a drain boost at max as well. So that's huge. So not only are you helping you're taking from your opponent as well. And her A2 is doing an AoE heal, and her ultimate revives your heroes. So she's actually giving you the ability to be the complete cleric, to be the complete healer that you need her to be. Water Vanessa, you don't really need to explain too much. She is doing it all for you on the healing front. On top of that, she can give you better recovery statistics. She can give you immunity from debuffs, and she's also increasing your team's attack power. So overall, Water Vanessa is kind of doing it all for you, and there's not really a reason why you wouldn't want her in your party.
Number 5.
And when you buy Water Vanessa, it allows you to get the next hero we're going to talk about, which is Fire Vanessa. Fire Vanessa requires you to have Water Vanessa 500,000 renown to get her. Now, the differences between the two might seem small, but in actuality, they stack against each other very, very well. So Fire Vanessa's A1 goes from purely being a heal to increasing the damage she does to the target based off of the defense that they have. So she's better against tankier units. So she's a good secondary support for your team as you progress. And as you'll see here in a second, being that secondary support, it's clutch. there isn't much of a difference between her A2s, but the A2 on Vanessa, if you were to max it out, goes from giving you debuff immunity to increasing your defense. It can be helpful, but it's not the priority that you're going to be looking after if you're going for Fire Vanessa, so it's not the main thing that you're looking at. The one thing that you are looking at, though, is the ultimate effect number 2. When you actually boost her ultimate to stage 2, you're not reviving heroes, you're doing AoE healing, but you're also giving them immunity for 1 complete turn. So if, say, Water Vanessa is reviving your heroes, Fire Vanessa can then turn around and make them invincible. So the two of those synergize very, very well.
Number 6. Number 7.
Now, the next 2 I want to talk to you about, they actually surprise you because you get them for free in the story and there's not much else you have to do. That's Earth Charlotte and Water Helga. Now, I don't actually need to tell you much about them, because you're going to have them in your team. You know what Charlotte does. You know what Helga does. And though both of them offer some sort of healing, Helga is definitely going to offer you a bit more damage over time with her sap effect. So you can use her more situationally as that secondary support that can also be the damage mitigation. So she may even be a good third support that could come in clutch when you need that timing. Whereas Earth Charlotte is going to be your standby, your great hero, the one that's doing the AoE heals. If you don't have those Water Vanessa and the Fire Vanessa, or if you want to run Fire Vanessa and Earth Charlotte, that's a good synergy as well. Now guys, that does it for my perspective on free-to-play characters that you should target. Now, these are definitely not the absolute best heroes in the game, but as a free-to-play player, these are the ones that you can get with relative ease that will put you in competitive terms. So if you're looking for heroes to invest in, if you're looking for things to save up for, I recommend you look at this list. Use your contracts on the Croms, and then you can go after the waifus that you want. You can look at your husbando, Walther, that's who I want. And then you can start using your renown on the other more expensive units. Overall, I think if you target these, you're going to be in a really good position to move forward. If you think I'm wrong, leave it in the comments why. If I need to usher a correction, I will. But I'm pretty confident in my research. So tell me what's up. Okay guys, as I continue to learn, I will continue to make these videos for you and only for you. Be sure to like and subscribe. And stay with me. We got a lot more on the horizon.